next morning. I waited in a sober mood today as Jesus came up the hill for his morning prayers. I had resolved to offer my resignation. It is clear that my boss has a new design which does not require the ministrations of angels and archangels. The sun does not need me any longer. Master, I said, I'm going back home. We've done some wonderful things together, and now you are taking yourself new helpers and companions. From the beginning of this project, we angels have been instructed to do nothing that would interfere. I believe that it would be easier for everyone concerned if we were to keep away altogether. The sun said nothing. In silence, he looked deep into my spirit at the hurt and disappointment that were festering there. Oriel, he said at last, you are my friend, and I love you. It was a great delight to have your company at the beginning of the world, and it's just as much a delight to have you here with me today. It is true that I do not need you. If you must talk in terms of need, I've never needed you, but I have always longed for you and hoped for you. Oriel, no one in all the creations has ever seen things the way that you see them, or understood life the way that you understand it. Without you by my side, I would be much poorer. Please stay. I didn't need to speak. There are those who have refused that invitation. My former colleague Lucifer is one of them. But I cannot resist my boss's love. At last the sun spoke again. I may not need you, my friend, but there are 12 soon-to-be terrified men at the bottom of this hill who most certainly do need you. Follow me. That evening, the sun gathered his band of apprentices soon after breakfast, gave them their instructions, and by mid-morning, all 12 were on the road in pairs. Unable to be with everyone, I opted for the nightmare partnership of the former Zionist freedom fighter Simon the Zealot and the man of 1,000 questions but no answer, Thomas Didymus. I experienced a sudden rush of terror when these two chose one another's company. Jesus simply smiled. He smiled again when he caught a glimpse of my concern. I've spent today in the company of these two lesser specimens of humanity. Simon is serious, intense, and slightly paranoid. As a zealot, he pledged his life to the cause of overthrowing the Roman Empire. Jesus persuaded him to surrender his sword and join a revolution far more powerful than guerrilla warfare. Simon is impatient to be issued with his new superweapon, but in the meantime, he is fascinated by his new commander. Thomas is rather like a pet dog. He has next to no understanding of why his master says and does what he says and does, but is utterly devoted and unerringly faithful. All spirit, but no sense, was Raphael's assessment of this rather shy young man. Simon and Thomas walked due north over the prayer hill and into a region that is completely new to both of them. Equipped with nothing but their trust in the sun, they stopped for lunch, but had no lunch. Jesus had asked them to take neither food nor money with them, knowing that they would only manage in this mission if they were totally dependent on his Father. With no opportunity for eating until they reached the next village, the mismatched missionaries settled for some water from a small spring. Thomas then went to sleep, leaving Simon trying to hit the trunk of a tree with an armoury of pebbles. I've absolutely no idea why a human might do such a thing, but he did appear to be rather good at it. When Simon became bored of this activity, he selected a new target, Thomas's head. At the fall of Simon's first stone, Thomas woke up, and the two companions resumed their journey. Towards the end of the afternoon, they arrived at a village called Giscala and stood in the village square, wondering what to do next. They didn't have to wonder for long. From the far end of the village came the noise of a woman shrieking, followed by the anxious shouts of several villagers. The commotion soon filled the empty square. A large man was dragging his wife by her ankle, shouting aggressively, "I'll kill you this time, I will." She was repeatedly screaming, "Stop him! Stop him! Please, someone!" Around the man hovered 3 opposition spirits, who were taunting him and coaxing him to more violence. "Go on then," they urged. "Do it, we know you can." "Hit her again," said another. "Then she'll know who's the boss." It was obvious to me that the man could hear their voices, but had no idea where the voices were coming from. Close behind this group came an assortment of villagers who wanted to rescue the woman, but were clearly terrified of her husband. "If you come any closer," he boomed, "I'll do it. I will. Then you'll know who's boss." "That's it," encouraged a particularly odious spirit. "Do it now before they try and stop you." I don't think the man had seen the 2 strangers standing at the edge of the square. Simon, noticing this, put his paramilitary training to good use. He charged at the husband, crashing his head into the big man's belly. A crude but effective tactic. The man let go of his wife, who quickly escaped into the safety of her mother's arms. Then he hit the dirt with such a crunch that he lay there, dazed for some time, which gave the villagers courage to come closer. The 3 spirits, robbed of their sport, looked around and were startled to see me. They would have fled immediately, but when Simon barked out the order, "Stay right where you are and don't move a hair," they responded as if he were addressing them. He was, in truth, addressing the man, and had no idea that the spirits were even there, but they stayed nonetheless. Simon's order came with the Son's authority, and the opposition spirits were compelled to obey. "He'll be all right now," said an even bigger man, a blacksmith, who stepped forward to take his concussed neighbour back home. Speaking to Simon, the blacksmith added, "He hears voices sometimes, and they tell him to hit and bite. He'll be all right for a few weeks now." The 3 spirits shifted uneasily, annoyed at the reminder of their relative impotence. The wife, bleeding and bruised and scarred, slipped forward and embraced her husband, crying. For a while she knelt, whispering words of forgiveness into her husband's ear. She then looked up at Simon and said, "He's a lovely man, really. It's just that when the voices taunt him, he can't control himself." Simon listened, hardly believing her. Thomas stood, wondering what Jesus would do in the same situation. He concluded that Jesus would simply tell the voices to leave the man, and that they would obey. I gave Thomas a kick, a spiritual kick, that is, and he responded as he had to Simon's pebbles earlier in the day. He blinked and then whispered to his colleague, "Jesus told us we were to sort out things like this." And then after a while he nudged Simon and said, "Go on then." Simon spoke to the wife and the blacksmith. "We have a friend called Jesus. You might have heard of him, who sorts things out like this, and he showed us how to do it, sort of. Would you like us to have a try?" The woman, still in shock, simply nodded. The blacksmith asked, "How much will it cost?" "Nothing," said Simon, quite startled by the question. People never asked Jesus how much he charged. Simon gathered his thoughts and said to himself, "Here goes," and then spoke out. You voices who are troubling this man, I want you to leave him alone, right?" The 3 spirits exploded into laughter and asked me, "Are these 2 little pets of yours, Oriel? They're not very well trained, are they?" Before I could reply, the husband began to echo the same demonic laugh, at which his wife quickly retreated to the safety of the gathering crowd. "It's happening again," she warned, and everyone became tense. Then the spirits called to their victim. "Joel, Joel, time for action. Get the two strangers quickly, before they get you. They've come to destroy you. Get them, Joel, now." The man began to haul his stunned body to its feet. I gave Thomas another, more urgent kick. He thought the situation through, muttering his thoughts as he went. "Jesus just tells the spirits what to do. He's given me the authority to do the same. Oh God, please help me here, because I'm not going to be able to do this without you." He then stepped forward and looked straight in the man's eyes. "Jesus of Nazareth has given me authority over you, and I'm telling you, leave this man and never speak to him ever again." The laughter of the opposition spirits faded rapidly. They looked at me for a second opinion. I nodded. They turned and moved away, but slowly, until Simon spoke up. "Go," he ordered, with an authority that I'd not seen in him before. "Get out of this village and never ever come back." The spirits fled like startled sparrows, up into the sky and away. Their victim, meanwhile, sat down and rubbed his ears. "It stopped," he announced. "The ringing in my ears has stopped." His wife returned to his side, obviously aware of the significance of this information. She embraced the man who had whipped her and beaten her for over 15 years. "My head feels so clear," he said, "like someone's really washed it out." The woman looked up at Thomas and Simon. "How can I thank you?" she asked. Thomas was too shocked to reply and stood shaking his head. Simon spoke for the two of them. "We're very hungry," he said. The woman's mother spoke up. "You can all come and have supper with me, and after a good meal, we'll open a skin of wine, and you can tell us about this man from Nazareth. What did you say his name was?" The family made their way home, followed by the population of Discala, who were taking it in turns to invite themselves round for the evening, promising to bring a skin of two or wine with them. I sense a party coming on.